On November 11th, Migos rapper Takeoff's funeral was held at the State Farm Arena. During the funeral, rappers Offset and Quavo spoke out about Takeoff. During Quavo's speech, he mentioned something that connects to what happened during Takeoff's passing. But first, you need to hear the new evidence on who did this to Takeoff. Quavo's sister posted on her Instagram story, and I quote, "Find out who did this to my nephew, by any means." Now, shortly after this, an alleged security file was revealed with new evidence. Now, typically during a case such as this, the police will use a tactic of building a portfolio of evidence based on someone's perspective that was at the scene. Now, somebody that created this evidence file used Quavo's perspective of Takeoff's passing, as it shares an entirely new look on how he truly passed away. Now, Quavo's night starts on Halloween, where Quavo picks up Takeoff, where they then later meet up with a driver for their vehicle, as well as another man named Migobands. Migobands is one of two suspects in the passing of Takeoff, as Instagram stories piece together a day of events for these four individuals. The night started with Quavo, Takeoff, and Migobands being invited to an event hosted by J Prince Jr. in Houston, Texas. At the start of the event, Quavo and Takeoff were seen performing a few songs for the crowd and other guests. Once the performance was over, they all then started going to a relaxing after party with music industry people as well as businessmen. Now, at this after party, there was many activities to do, such as a lounging area where rappers Quavo was seen playing some sort of game for cash. Now, while at this after party, this is where we meet suspect number 2. This suspect's name is Cam, as Cam is known for many street-related acts in Atlanta, and allegedly he's known for being street security for a lot of high-profile names. Now, street security is very different from just actual security guards, as these guys, they live the street type of lifestyle. They're not afraid to use it to defend you either when they have a firearm. Now, here's a picture taken of Quavo playing the game for cash, but he also gives Cam a very ugly look inside of this game room. Now, Cam wore a yellow sweater this entire night. It's important to remember that. Now, after that was complete, Takeoff and Migobands, as well as Quavo, were then seen walking through a shopping center in Houston, Texas, alongside a lump sum of 50 people that are friends and acquaintances of J Prince Jr. Now, inside of the shopping center is a bowling alley called 810 Billiards and Bowling Houston. Now, with the 50 lump sum of people standing around outside of the bowling alley, there was 4 to 6 people playing dice, taking turns in exchange for cash. Now, reports state that rapper Quavo is one of the 50 men playing dice, but that's false. The only time Quavo was playing dice was hours before in that game room where he was giving Cam a very ugly look. Now, while watching people play dice, a man walks up to Quavo. This mystery man, who still remains nameless, then leads into mocking Quavo the way that he was playing during a celebrity basketball game just a few weeks prior. Now, this started a very loud conversation. Quavo is seen on surveillance footage arguing back and forth with this individual. There's even footage that shows Quavo stating, and I quote, "Man, I don't care about no basketball game." Now, with tensions starting to rise, it was at this current time where Cam in the yellow sweater is then seen walking up to Quavo. He then stands beside Quavo, as well as the other man that Quavo is arguing with. With Cam standing there and the yelling starting to escalate, this is where we see Migobands. Migobands is seen walking up the aisle of the mall, and he's shown on surveillance footage showing a firearm from out of his waistband. Now, you can tell this is Migobands, as it's the exact shirt he was wearing, the Gucci bag, single chain, and snapback hat that he was wearing in the vehicle earlier on in the night with Takeoff and Quavo. Migobands makes his way through the group of people, and he stands beside Quavo where Cam is. Now, footage reveals that Migobands, he stood there wondering what's going on for around a minute or two. Meanwhile, at this time, Takeoff wasn't really paying much attention. There was actually a witness that he was standing beside named Elizabeth, which I will be sharing her side later. Now, with everything forming together, Quavo had enough of this individual that he was arguing with, as Quavo then begins begins walking away from this mystery man. New camera footage then revealed once Quavo turns his back and starts walking away, the man he was arguing with then swings towards Quavo. Now Takeoff noticed this and took 2 steps forward to back up Quavo in this incident. But while Takeoff is moving forward, Cam in the yellow sweater is then seen pulling his firearm from out of his hoodie pocket and raising it in the air almost like he's about to use it. Now with Cam pulling his firearm up in the air, Migobands then notices and quickly pulls his out, as he was also there to be street security for Quavo and Takeoff. It's unknown who used their firearm first between Cam and Migobands, but knowing the situation that Migobands, Cam, Quavo, Takeoff, and the man he was arguing with were all within 3 feet of each other, that is how Takeoff was affected by 2 firearms. With the sounds of firearms being used, witnesses claim that Migobands affected Takeoff with his firearm and then Cam used his. Now that is evidence from a witness that I'll be sharing here in a minute. With the sounds of firearms being used, the lump sum of people that were standing there are all seen sprinting away, ducking for cover, hopping over benches and chairs. Meanwhile, sadly, Takeoff is seen on the floor of the mall with Quavo standing right by his side. It was at this time Quavo was trying anything to get him help, and even asking for people to stop recording. Sources mention that this is Quavo's fault, what happened to Takeoff. Please do not listen to any of that. As firearms were being used right beside Quavo, he noticed that Takeoff was affected. He stood there by his side the entire time. He didn't even flinch or even try running away. He was right there beside Takeoff all the way until the sad end. It was just a very unfortunate event that Takeoff was affected by 2 strays as he was standing there minding his own business. Before sharing the exclusive witness statement, here's Quavo's speech at Takeoff's funeral.
You always with me, and we did everything together. Since we was kids, you been by my side, looking up at me with them eyes. Same eyes you got as my sister. Waiting on me to make the next move, then you followed up right behind me. You always made sure I did it first, so you can do it right with me. You never competed with me. We was always on the same team because you hated playing against me because I always played too hard or too rough. And I can hear mama saying, not too rough, son. Remember our first dream was to be tag team partners in the WWE. We fell in love with WWE wrestling. We had every...
Now during Quavo's message, he states, Takeoff is super quiet though, quietest in the room, but paid attention to everything going on in the room. He's always been like that. Nothing ever really bothered Take, and he didn't bother anybody. Now remember that part of the message as it relates to this witness's statement. Now a female named Elizabeth that was at the scene, she was actually standing beside Takeoff as I mentioned earlier, before everything went down. Now she tweeted just hours after the incident, and I quote, "I'ma speak on this because I feel like I have to. I was right there, next to Takeoff. They wasn't arguing about a dice game. Quavo was pressed, and Takeoff was hit by strays that were used for no reason. Rest in peace, Takeoff. He didn't deserve that. He was to himself the entire night." Now there was text messages attached to this tweet that gives a little bit of more context to what I shared earlier. Now the text messages read, "Firearms just started ringing, but they were coming from somebody the Migos was with. But he was using his firearm wild, and he hit Takeoff on accident. Then the other people started using their firearms back, and I think he got hit again. But ultimately, it was his own guys who did it to him, because when he got hit the first time, I saw it. Quavo was mad over some small stuff that really wasn't worth it. Takeoff was the coolest and quietest guy in that room the whole time. He didn't say a word, just chilling in the cut. He didn't even know what was going on, and got it." Now, as I mentioned earlier, it's unknown who used his firearm first. Was it Cam or Migobands? As video surveillance show that those two are the most likely to have had firearms in that group of people. This eyewitness that was standing in that lump sum of people say that Takeoff was affected by his own man first, and then the people retaliating hit him again. This would then equal to Migobands hitting him first by accident and Cam retaliating. Now, it's been an extremely hard time for many people and rappers. Many rappers shared love and prayers for Takeoff. Here's Offset speaking out about Takeoff.
Change the culture of music forever. You did that, Take. You changed that flow. That flow came from Tate, the originator. He the originator of that flow. He changed the music. Lord, give us the strength. Just give us the strength, the family, everybody, give us some strength. I don't want to question you, God, but I don't get it. I don't get you sometimes. And I believe in you, Father. Change the culture of music forever. You did that, Tate.
We then even saw Master P share some words for himself.
And hip hop is too young. Rest in peace to Takeoff. My condolences goes out to Takeoff family, Quavo, man, all my soldiers and soldierettes. Hip hop has turned to the new streets. We used to be in the streets trying to get into hip hop, which is crazy. When you walk out your house, tell your loved ones you love them, because you never know who might not come back. And no matter how old or young you are, it's crazy. I love y'all soldiers and salute to everybody. Let's save the next generation.
This even then led Boosie to sharing his reaction in his vehicle.
R.I.P. Takeoff, bro. Shaking my head, man. Humble. That music syndicate won't show QC, all the family. We sending some prayers and love for y'all. All Takeoff family, Quavo, Offset, all y'all. That music syndicate won't, send their prayers out. This rap whack, bro. I ain't lying, bro. We targets now, bro. We used to be heroes, Everybody want us out of here, bro. R.I.P. Takeoff.
Now, if you are a Takeoff fan, leave a like on the video. I'm curious how many fans are watching today. Anyways, it's been District Trending, and I'm out. Peace.